What's good? God is good. I'm your host, Jay Did It. Welcome to Thursday Therapies, a podcast for all creatives, writers, rappers, poets, artists, activists, Sacramento community therapy session. Today, I have three bomb-ass poets from Sacramento. I have Shewrights, the bombest poet out here in Sac. Whoop, 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 whoop. Chio's in the motherfucking house out here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I got Cloudy's in the house, y'all. Thank you. Welcome to Thursday Therapies. How y'all doing?
Great. Thank you so much for having us back.
Thank you.
It's good to be back on Thursday Therapies.
So excited.
I love it.
One of my favorites, too.
This is my vision. This has been my vision, and I'm just so glad and blessed to have you guys back on this show.
It's amazing to see how much has changed.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. So as you guys know, this Thursday Therapies is a podcast for mental health, but really it's a reunion. It's a group therapy session, and really I just want to get y'all outlook, input, and see how you guys are doing and what's changed since you guys been on the podcast before.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. What's changed?
So what's changed? So really, I just want to ask Christy. I'll go down the line, I guess, and then we could just, create conversation and have a good time.
Love that.
I just want to really know what's going on with you and how are you handling your health issues. In the last episode, you talked about some health issues, and I'm like, I commend you for getting up and showing up every fucking day out here in these streets, in this poetry scene, and just showing up for yourself. You look amazing. And
thank you.
I think about that, and I'm just like, that's definitely a journey in its own.
Yeah, so thank you for asking. Yeah, it's like weird that it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was a long time ago. The last time I was here, I was that day I had gone to radiation that morning. I remember we talked about that. So now I'm back on an old medication, on a chemo infusion that I'm doing every 3 weeks. So I'll actually do that tomorrow. So I'm okay, but there is I need a more long-term treatment option. But this is just kind of something temporary. But I would say I'm doing all right. Spirits are good. And I would say, laughter is probably the best thing that's happened for my health. Like,
that's amazing.
When I was here before, it was just me. And now I'm here with like two people who I would say contribute to my overall health in such a positive way. Like when you're going through something, what you really need is like support and to just not feel alone. And so, I would say mentally I'm doing very well. Physically could be better, but thank you so much for asking.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, no, because I think about that often, and I'm just like, she is a fucking badass. Like, Christy is such a badass. Like,
thank you.
You don't really realize what's going on. You think you're having a fucked up day or having a fucked up life, but then you get to listen to other people's story and what they're going through.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And it really puts life into perspective. Like, everybody's going through some shit.
For sure.
We're all going through some shit. So it's just like, really don't judge a book by its cover. But at the same time, just realize that when you build a community of support, you can get through it a lot easier.
Absolutely. So, fun fact. So I have an infusion every 3 weeks at Kaiser, right? And the last time I went was the first time I went by myself. So Joe has taken me a couple times, and another one of our friends, Kyung-Soo, has taken me.
I've been waiting for you to call me. I'm
Look,
like, why she ain't called me yet? Hello, I'm right down the street.
Listen. This is another problem that's a good thing to have. I have like people fighting over who's gonna go. People want to sit with me while I get chemo. That's like, what kind of friend? Like, but anyway, the last time I went by myself, and the nurse was like, "You don't have any friends with you today." I do not have the same nurse every time. Wow. And there's a lot of like, I usually am like Bay R. So there's like starts with A, but they somehow remember. And so she's like, yeah, y'all be having lively conversation.
Energy, even if it's just you, your energy has fucking been amazing. When you told me you had to get up and do radiation and you're still out there in the scene and I didn't know about that, I'm like, fuck, I would have never known. I would have never fucking known because your energy is flawless.
It's because I like, at this point, it's honestly my people. Like, I don't have to do anything alone. Like, I've said that to all of y'all, but like, it's not just like the fun parts of my life. I don't have to do the not fun parts of my life alone either. Right. And I feel like you said, everybody goes through something, but when you don't have to go through it alone, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, I can do this thing. And so, just knowing that even the oncology nurses look forward to my friends coming for my infusion was really like, wow, like they're looking for us. Like we bring a lot of energy into the space. And so it's like, honestly, like I have the best case scenario for what I'm having to experience. That's for
beautiful.
sure.
And I know you had mentioned it because we had talked quite a few times, and you had mentioned that before you had absolutely nobody.
No.
And it just that drains your mental health.
Absolutely.
Just to not have somebody to talk to, or even somebody in the close proximity of where you live, is you're suffering in silence.
Absolutely.
And that'll deteriorate your health and your mental health fast.
Yeah.
So fast. So it's amazing to see the
difference.
It is. It's definitely
brings a tear to my they all know I love to cry.
And sometimes
I am
But this is real shit.
No, it is.
This is like what you're going through. I feel your pain. Like when we had that discussion, and you're like, nobody was there for me, and just to have it such a big change, that goes to show you community does help.
Community can change your life.
People don't have to suffer in silence.
Absolutely not.
To suffer in silence.
And this would be a lot harder. It's not to say that I don't have days that are difficult, right? I do have days where I'm just kind of over it.
Right.
But I mean, it's not, it maybe at some point it was like this thing that was like living in the forefront of my life. And now it's just not, it's just, it's like, thankfully, like, look, this is what I'm doing the night before.
Right.
And then the weekend will come and we'll be, like back living our lives. And so, if anything, I am really grateful to have people would help me before, but now I get to have my choice of help, as you just saw with everybody being like, I'll take you.
That's a true blessing. Thank you for sharing that. That's a true blessing.
It's definitely a blessing.
I'm so glad that's coming true for you.
Thank you.
Because it does matter. Community does matter.
Yeah. Y'all matter to me. I love y'all.
We love you so much. And if I could just say something about watching Shewrights, Christy, my sister, is that like since I've known you, like one of my favorite things about you is like I can tell that you live life to the full spectrum. So like all of the like hardships that you've gone through, you are grateful for like every moment and every friendship, and like we all feel that, and that's why we we love and like this, like our friend group especially is so special because I think we all match that like level of energy. Like we love each other and show up for each other constantly. But like with you, like I've seen you like, especially like this time around with you going through your treatments, you're just so damn strong. You're so powerful. Damn strong. Like everybody knows you to be such a like wonderful, happy, giddy person, but like just to also know that like you do like hurt and you do struggle, but like that's the point of strength, is that like you're able to like work through all of that, and that we all are here to like support you and like
and make me cry
each other to get you to your appointment. And if it was, we would literally be our whole like dinner reservation at your appointment if we could. That.
Yes, we would.
Do we have some tissue?
Yeah, this I actually do know. I think y'all set me up to just come here to cry.
I'll say,
sorry.
I'm not even gonna do it. But I will say the word I think that you were searching for is resilience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I love y'all.
Someone who's had the privilege of being your friend, of being both of y'all's friends, is seeing resilience happen every day.
Thank you.
And I am lucky to have people as wonderful as all three of y'all in my life.
I love y'all so much.
We're all gonna cry. No, what I was gonna say, like at the start of this episode, was like, holy moly, like this is probably some of like the most like strong, resilient women in this room that I've like met in this community, and like who I'm so lucky to call like my close friends.
Yeah.
And so like this is like just such a special moment to like be in with you guys to talk about, especially this topic that is so important.
Yeah, for sure.
That we obviously have themes of in our art, but like aren't necessarily addressed and like unpacked, know?
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
No, this is amazing. Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys came because y'all came to me in such a low point in my life and have been nothing but fucking supportive.
Yeah.
And I felt like you know, I wasn't going through the same issues as you, but I was going through some hard shit, you know,
absolutely,
by myself. And it's just like, God knew what to bring to my life, and I met all of you guys, and you guys have been nothing but fucking supportive and authentic and real with me, and I'm just like, it's been amazing. So I you know, I know how you're feeling with that community. You know, and it's like real genuine community. People, you guys see me for who I am. You know, flaws and all, it doesn't fucking matter. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what the amazing part is of being your guys' friends, and having you guys here on Thursday Therapies is fucking amazing.
I mean, hearing you all just talk about me like I'm not here, but and also okay, just, you know, like knowing personally, like if we were having this conversation sometime around this time last year, I was just like admirer of your art, right? And so like now getting a chance to know y'all as people, hearing you describe me in certain ways, it's like those are the things that I see in y'all too. And so like, you know, Jamie, like just even this space, right? How we started off, I'm like, when I saw the change, I was like, you really are a person who is like who you say you are. You know, a lot of people will say it, but you can't find no evidence of them actually showing up that way.
They talk about it.
But they don't be about it.
They need to listen to that track a few times.
And so I want y'all to know, like, I feel like I can be more of who I am because of y'all. Like, I really feel like I've been finding, like, so, you know, my family lives in Michigan. So I don't see them every day. And when I do, it's like a video but I went home for Mother's Day. And like I said, I send them photos. We have videos. But even they have said to me, like, you just look lighter in your face. Oh, wow. Like, you just look happy. Like, you seem, or like my aunt's like, we can never get in contact with you. You know, is everything okay? Wow. And I'm like, actually, things are more than okay. It's just I have a booming, thriving social life. That's and amazing.
Our calendar is crazy.
Our calendar is like I'm needing to keep one, which is like a thing. But you know, like mental health is, you know, sometimes people, I said this in my first one, like people really sensationalize like spas and massages and that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, because we all know, you know, we all love a massage, you know. But like one of the things I've had a chance to realize is so good for your mental health is like, before I started having my pomies or my couch sisters, because we always end up on my couch, I really I didn't notice how much time I spent doing things with people just to do the thing and maybe not really want to hang out with the people. Right. Or I would be doing things to hang out with people and not really excited about the thing. Right. Yeah, I remember and and like I'm now at a point in my life where I don't have to choose. Right. So like I get to do the thing I would be doing by myself with people that I want to do it with. That's amazing. And that's mental health drugs that I didn't even know.
Right. Natural.
Yeah, natural. That's all natural. Like I didn't even know. I didn't know that was the combination. Like, I didn't know that was the thing I needed. And then the other thing is I don't have kids, right? I've never wanted to mother, but, you know, I'm giving rich auntie. Like, I want to be rich auntie out here, you know? So it's like, even the artists in the group, like Chio has a son, a couple of the other artists, you have children, obviously, and like being able to spend time with the kids, like going to their birthday parties, like when I come around, the kids be like, hey, and I'm like, you know, this all started from me just sharing my art, right? And so it's like I feel like I'm way more grateful, like. I'm just grateful. Like I feel like lately I'm a bad artist because I ain't really writing. Like when we first all met, we were at open mics like every night.
Every night. We're at parties. We're at birthday dinners.
To pick and choose.
Yeah.
We're at birthday dinners now.
Yeah. And now it's like, you know, like real life. And, you know, I've also said that like my home before was just like a place where I left my stuff while I went to work. Right. And now like my apartment is like like a dorm room, you know, like there's always blankets and pillows out.
Oh my gosh, I love them blankets and pillows.
Yeah, I mean, like for our continuous sleepovers, or the joke, there's still eyelashes on my little eye thing from my frog from Cho's. I don't know. That was Valentine's Day, I think.
It was her. She had started her new job.
Her birthday.
It was your birthday.
Oh.
It was your birthday.
It was your first birthday
It wasn't
party.
my birthday. You had started your new job. Her birthday.
Well, they were joking because everybody thought it was her birthday.
Everyone on Instagram thought it. All the people who were not there thought it was my birthday because they're like, why would you be celebrating and going this hard?
So then everybody who was at the party decided it's time to comment happy birthday, Chio.
Yes.
That's the after party. I forget. Y'all remember I left at 7.
Yes.
I go to bed by 8.
Yeah, no, we were after partying a lot for a while. We're not doing as much of that as, you know, I think we tired now.
Nice.
I think we got different things going on.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's going on.
We're active during the day now, so
Well, that's a blessing.
That's a
blessing. So I want to ask Cho some questions.
Yeah.
So how have you been managing your own mental health now since the last show that I had you on? How are you juggling Sac Poets Society work and Jude?
Oh my goodness. So it's been a few months, like, because I was thinking about all of our episodes that we were on, all separate, but like since then we've gotten so close. We've all gotten so close, whereas like then we were all friends, but now we're family. So it's like yeah, it's been a lot has happened. I started a new job, so I'm still kind of like finding my footing with that, while like wanting to organize in the community while being a mom to a 20-month-old baby, you know, and my mental health, you know, with this support system that we're talking about, I feel on top of the world and invincible most of the time. But, you know, there are times that I don't feel invincible and I feel very vulnerable and imperfect and messy and like I can't do it all, that I shouldn't be doing any of it. But then, like, you know, love is such a reflection. Yeah. So, like, I can look to Cloudy, to Christy, and, you know, have those safe spaces to, like, talk about those things. And, you know, they'll remind me who the fuck I am.
Period.
You a boss ass. You a boss ass bitch. I already know.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, even, like, the like little session we had at like the coffee shop, like I like shared some things with you and you stopped me right in my tracks. You're like, none of that has anything to do with you.
None of it at all.
You put in the work and it shows. Like that's where having a support system really does like make a difference, because like when you're in your head, you're kind of just stuck there. But it's like the people who know and love you and who are there from your day to day, who will definitely remind you, like, this is just a moment you're having. Have the moment, like, your feelings are valid, but like, you know who you are, we know who you are, and you're gonna get your footing again.
100%.
And so, like, yeah, with the mental health, it's you know, most days it's great. And some days you're going to have those struggles. But, like, it's all about finding, like, coping mechanisms. And luckily I do have a great support system for that.
That's amazing. That is amazing because I know, you were going through some things that really didn't have anything to do with you. And I'm just like, you know, looking at you putting in all this work and creating Sac Poets Society and creating all these workshops and creating a safe space for so many other people to be out here, and then just allowing other creatives to come in and have a piece of what you created has been fucking amazing. You know, it's been amazing. So I'm just like,
thank you so much.
You started working, and then of course I know you had Jude, and I know how it is to try to struggle with all, or juggle all of those things, you know, a child and work, and then you still live outside of the Sacramento perimeter where, you know,
y'all, I live in Lodi. I travel to Sac.
Right. But things are going up for you though, because you're not of got a car.
Yeah, I got a car, I have a job.
Like, all types of shit's coming up for you. You know, you don't went to London.
I just came back from London, yes. Shout out to my sister again for basically being my sponsor for that trip. Thank you. Thank you, big sis.
Amazing, though. I'm seeing it's paying off, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you got to remember who you are, because good shit's going to happen to good people. You know?
Thank you so much.
So no matter what people try to pull you down or pour on you, you know, you always just have to dust that shit off and you know who you are.
Thank you so much. Amazing. I think like a big lesson that I've definitely learned in healing is like to give yourself grace. Right. And that's where like the people who like love you will remind you like you're good. Like you can like, don't be so hard on yourself. But yeah, to not be so hard on yourself. And when you get into those like headspaces, to give yourself grace. And when you are busy like this, I haven't been able to do as much organizing, because there's some give and take in life, you know.
Absolutely.
With like art too, you know. When you are having a really good social life, it's hard to pour that into your craft as well, you know. So there are seasons for things, and so that's really important to allow life to flourish, and then your time for art will come, and you'll get in those spaces again. Right. So yeah, having like that grace for yourself, and then also like letting life just happen and unfold for you. Nice.
Well, I'm very glad that you're doing well, and you know, riding the wave of your own creative scene, you know.
Thank
just
you.
Handling shit. I love it. I love seeing it. So, Cloudy, how are you managing your mental health since the last time I seen you? I know you, every time I see you, just so beautiful and smiling and in such a great mood. True. Every time I see you, I'm just like, there go Cloudy. Hey, beautiful.
It's because I love y'all. Let me tell you, I love y'all so much. I will say I did get to travel, which is always wonderful. I spent 2.5 weeks inside of Europe. Right. And I got to see some of my friends and stuff. I used to study abroad out there, so that was nice. I met new people, of course. But I have been working that 9 to 5 and doing poetry stuff. Became an official board member of the Sacramento Poetry Center.
That's right.
And there have been and the editor of the Tully Review. So
okay, talk your shit.
So if y'all want to submit, please do. It's performance poetry. Check out Sacramento Poetry Center.
We love
.com.
.org. Shout them out.
So that you can get those submissions in. But all in all, more work, more friends, beautiful things happening. And I will say that even though I have had a lot of opportunities come up, of course, with all that comes stress. Right. And there are some new things in my personal life as well that y'all know about, new people in my life that have also added to the fullness of it. And it's been interesting navigating that, because I've been very much alone for so long. I went to school, I was away from my family, and then I moved back up here, and I thought I was going to start this like lonely adult life, and not at all. As Shewrights mentioned, the apartment's basically a dorm room. I am the, I think, most frequent sleepover partner over there.
She's the firstborn couch sister.
She is.
She's on the leash without being on the leash.
Listen, I come over and I clean up, y'all.
She does.
I do be helping in
She
any way
does.
I can.
She can.
I can. Let me tell you how I got these rings. But I will say that life has been full because I have these amazing people around me. And the funny part is going back to like our first episode. Right. People watching, they're like, that's so much like you. You basically said cut everybody off. Real. I said, if you don't got good people around you, cut them off.
That's one of my questions for you, too, because since our last episode, we had the cut them off theory. How has that been, and have you had to cut anybody off since the last episode? Yes. And what did you have to cut them off for?
Burn book.
So So now that we mentioned the burn book, I'm gonna bring it up. So I am.
There's a burn book. Is that part of the cut them off?
No, I am super ridiculous, and I really, really enjoy having a half birthday celebration.
Shout out your half birthday.
And so we had it Mean Girls themed, and we had a burn book, and we had all these jokes like, oh, we might put X, Y, and Z in it, but it was all just collages of us and our friends.
It was just our pictures.
We want positive energy only in the
No raggedy.
Cloudy's comment burn book. But in general, yes, I will say that even within like community artistic spaces, I've had to eliminate like my contact with people. And not necessarily because I think that they're bad people or that I think that there's no value to them being in my life, but I do think that I enjoy having a certain energy about the people that I'm around.
For sure.
I like being on the same page with the people that I'm around. Right. And if you are no longer going to be bringing that positivity and that growth into my life, I think that it's okay to just not connect anymore.
Let it fade out.
And let it fade out.
Right.
And so I will say that I wish it's been a good amount of people. I wish that good amount of people, all the best and growth and whatnot, but we're gonna have to do it from a distance. Right. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
We talked about that the last time. We can love you to death from a distance. Keep your distance. And there's no hate, no shame, none of that. It's just like I grew this way and you grew that way. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
And I think that we did have something really big happen in the community that like shook a lot of us. And so it changed us. It changed our habits. I will say I feel like we have, you're right, gone to less open mics and been less out in the world because our friend Al passed, and for the poets and some of even like the hip hop artists in the community, it's been a really terrible loss. We worked pretty closely as volunteers on the Sac Poetry Board before, and like we had a meeting the day before, and then I never heard from him again, and that was something that just it was a lot to handle. And so I think that in this era that I'm in my life, I'm just like, I want the people who are important to me to be around. Right. I want to be able to do things with them, to spend this valuable time together on couches and air mattresses and going to poetry in the park and organizing and publishing. But I also think that it's okay to give people who need more space and who aren't ready to do those things and be in community right now more space and grace.
100%.
It's just the nature of being a human.
I love that, and that's why I love being around all of you guys, because it's just like I feel the same way. Like I had to cut a lot of people out of my life, not because I hated them, not because of something they did. It's just like I'm growing in a different path.
Absolutely.
I'm going down a different journey, and it's just like my journey brought me to you guys who are also on a different journey. And it's all about growth and that energy, being around positive people and uplifting each other and healing and living happy lives. Because I want to be happy, and every time I'm around you guys, it's nothing but love and happiness.
Absolutely.
It's authentic. I can show up as myself anyway, any type of way. I could come looking crazy raggedy if I want. I can come with a beanie on my head. I can come with some coochie cutters.
There we go.
Girl, we're gonna embrace you.
Especially if you got the coochie cutters.
Be like, why is she wearing that? Y'all gonna be like, hey,
I'm like,
good. I will say that is something that is even right before we came here, I was like trying on clothes for. I was like, Joe, what do this look good? And she was like, oh, girl, your body, like, I was like, ooh, stuff changing, right?
You being on that
She was
pole.
like, look, I need to get on the pole, okay? But it's like, it's really like, it's having sisters is so. Having sisters is like, to me, like I said, like the good relationships and having art and all that, like, yeah, that's good for you, but like mental health, and just having people who you can just like, just be like I said, they always say laughter is good medicine, but like it's beyond good medicine.
Laughter cures.
Or just like how we all compliment each other, right? Like we see each other and it's like, I saw Claudia in that red and I was like, oh, baby.
Yes, and I can't stop looking at those
okay.
pants. I'm like, where can I get my pants?
But you too.
One thing I'm
you be looking so good.
Anybody come fitted to any and every event, it's Jay Did It. Oh
Jay
my
did
goodness.
it. Jay Did It come fitted.
Come fitted. Come fitted down.
Like yeah. It's just like every time we show up, we all come fitted, and we all are our own natural self in our own natural style, and it just works. And it's just so fun. And
yeah.
I will say, my favorite thing about this crew is that we do all approach things very differently. I will say, I think that out of everybody, I'm the crash out. I am the one to say, cut that person off. I will never talk to them again. All my poetry friends know that I am smooth off.
But I like your theory though, because I feel that, because it's just like you have to cut them off, because if you don't cut them off, then you're gonna have, if you're gonna continue to have them around, you're gonna continue to seep in that energy. And if they are bad and negative and they're bringing that energy around, you're gonna consume that, and it's gonna take over what you got going on. And I don't want that around me at all. You know, it's not that I hate anybody or I have any ill will or ill feelings towards anybody. It's just that I don't want that for me in my life. And I don't have to have that for me in my life. You know what I mean?
And even with that, I usually do stick to my original plan, but I will say my sisters, my wonderful people here on these couches, always give me perspective and other like points of view that I wouldn't have considered previously. Yeah, I think that y'all have.
So you got a second chance or something before you cut them off. So you're starting to give second chances.
Sometimes I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll give it a week.
A week, okay, you got a week.
A week is all you're getting out of me, though.
Completely.
And I really love that I have people in my life who don't necessarily tell me like, oh, don't do that, but they're like, but what about this?
Right.
And have you considered this?
Right.
And I think that that's growth. Like having people, like even sometimes I'll be making a decision. I'll be like, okay, but what would Shewrights tell me? What would Chio tell me?
Oh, so you have them like the little devil's advocate. Like you got somebody,
and not even in the way of like
on your shoulders. Like what do you do?
And not even in the way of like they would steer me to do something I wouldn't before, but they would just have me go about it a specific way. They would talk to me about how I want to present X, Y, and Z to this person,
right.
Or how I want to communicate something. And it really has been like a beautiful thing to have these amazing women in my life.
I think vulnerability, that's something. You know, I wouldn't have said before that vulnerability was a mental health issue, but not being able to be vulnerable usually comes from some type of lack of trust or trauma that you've had, right? And so I feel like a lot of this, like, a lot of it is like fun and good and I'm having a good time, but it's also like helping me with my mental health in that way because I'm like being able to be vulnerable.
And that's what I talked to with Sean in one of my episodes, is that being vulnerable is the new sexy.
It's very sexy.
Working on yourself and being vulnerable and you
that's
know,
telling people in this room right now.
Period.
Right. You know, being vulnerable is the new sexy, and it's just like it looks good on people when you really genuinely see people working on themselves. It looks good because they're putting in the effort.
Yeah, and it gives you like a place to practice. Like, you know, we all desire like romantic relationships, and you have to be a good friend to your partner, whether you think that's important or not. You find out it is. And I jokingly say all the time, like, whoever I end up with gonna have to be bomb, because my friends already like the way they show up for me and the way they make me feel about myself, even on those days where I'm just like not really feeling, you know, not feeling anything, or just, you know, having a blah day, you know, and all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't need to be blah by myself. Like, and even if I am, like, they will take me how I am in whatever form I am that day. And I think that that level of vulnerability is good for my like individual mental health of just like being comfortable with me, being comfortable with silence. Like, I'm a person that's very extroverted and outgoing. So of course people like that, but that's not always how they experience me.
Right.
You know, people experience me like that in art, but they experience me constantly, so they experience different phases, and I feel like it just makes me more like comfortable to be who I am. And so I'm learning a lot about like I said, mental health. We think about going to a therapist, and there was a point several months ago where my therapist was even like, you know, I think we could take a break.
Nice.
I feel like you got what you need. Like your social, he was like, I feel like lately our last few conversations are you just telling me what you and your friends did.
Right.
And so he was like, I'm starting to think you don't really like you. Hit me up when, you know, when there's something going on.
Right. That's
and I was kind of like, did my therapist like, and Stan loves me, you know, like he loved kicking it with me, but he was just, I think he was kind of like, oh, you having too much fun.
Therapy too. It's just, you go to therapy and you work on yourself and you work through shit. And then, you know, you put goals out there for yourself, and then you
meet the goals.
And then, you know, at some point you end up, you know, outgrowing your therapist. And that's the whole point. And that's
Thank y'all for that. Thank y'all. My house is a home. I didn't outgrew my therapist. I got better vulnerability. Like, I mean, community is like literally changing my life. Like,
absolutely.
Every single day.
I wanted to make a comment about the vulnerability being sexy.
Yes.
And it's because I think a lot of sometimes people can be vulnerable without intention. Right. And those are the people who know they're like venting and like they don't really
trauma dumping.
Yeah, they're trauma dumping. They don't have any control on like that vulnerability.
Yes.
But vulnerability as a choice,
yes,
with self-awareness and with a growth mindset is very very sexy.
100%.
And to talk about community, I haven't been out in the poetry community very long. It's been a little bit over a year. And so much has changed since then. Like we've lost open mics, had new open mics open up, lost friends, and we don't go to open mics often anymore, which I do miss that. Yeah. But I think we kind of accomplished our mission, like kind of the therapist is like we went out there to share our art, to meet other people, other artists, and we all became friends with the people that we were like the most drawn to.
Absolutely.
And we're always together anyway. And whenever we want to share our art, we can and we do. And so I feel like we have accomplished that. Though I won't be mad if we want to go to open mic, because I do. Those are fun.
We have been first year to poetry.
Yeah,
we've been going that
completely.
Yeah.
Not completely.
It's just
poetry
hasn't been every day.
Yeah.
It
Poetry
just hasn't been
big.
Yeah.
But we used to go to CSSB as like that's our weekly hangout, you know, where we knew we were going to see our friends there. But you know, now we just see each other because we love each other and we love spending time together. And there will be like events that pop up where we're like, oh, let's all go to this. And those are nice. But I think like the therapist, it kind of like, oh, we think you're good.
Yeah.
But we all are still poets and artists. And so, you know, there's a living season and a creating season. Right. And I think the living is doing us really good right now.
Yeah.
It is. It's amazing. It's blossomed. I see everybody just blossom into so much more, you know, creating and then just loving and caring for each other and healing. Yeah. It's been such a healing journey, you know, to see everybody grow together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when we were talking about like cutting people off and how you said like, oh, well, I went in this direction, I think that it's very telling that all of our paths aligned because we all had something that we wanted on this path, which was to grow and to be loved and to love another person without selfishness, you know? Because, yeah, I mean, I do admire the cutoff because, you know, I struggle with that. I'd be given lots of chances out there, but I'd be like, no, child.
And I'm like I'm like, well, let's
think about
it, you know.
Well, I used to be a people pleaser. And so
I'm a recovering
I didn't know how
pleaser,
to cut nobody off. No, this healing season is for me. I have to learn how to love me and be there for me. And it's not that I'm cutting people off for bad reasons. It's because I need to learn how to love myself and put me first.
Right.
And do what I need to do is best for me. I got kids to raise.
Right.
So if people feel any kind of way because I cut them off, that's their own insecurities, you know, and I'm going to pray for you and hope that you can heal from that, you know, because it's nothing personal.
I think the biggest telling thing about love and friendship is humility. Right. And so it's not to say that we can't argue or get irritated or frustrated with each other.
I feel like.
But like our love and like our humility of like, no, like I really love Christy. I really love Cloudy. And to be like, the friendship is more important. That's the central. Right. To come at things with love. Right. But once you start like mixing other ingredients in there, like jealousy or, you know, self-doubt or feelings of inadequacy or other things that may arise, you're not coming at it with like a humbleness anymore. Exactly. And then that's why things never get resolved. And at that point, it's kind of like, let's just part ways. And maybe someday, you know, For me, a cutoff doesn't have to be forever. But, you know.
Claudia said, well,
I was like, you know, I don't think that I'm good at the double back after the cutoff. I'm not, and that's okay. I think that recently there was a person that you all both know I got very close to very quickly. And then me and her we had to stop being friends because it wasn't working for me. And I hadn't really, I usually do, but I hadn't given her an explanation. I didn't feel that I had the capacity to say it. And then also I didn't feel like I needed to. I feel like you should know what you did.
Wow.
But I kept seeing her this last week and I was like, I feel like crazy because I haven't sent her a message or said anything. And I was going to talk to her. She was talking to somebody else. Then I saw her leave and I was like, okay. So I texted her. And that was like a moment of like, this is like the last, I feel like, unresolved situation that I've had in a long time. And I still don't like it, there really isn't any animosity in my heart, like but I am such a once it's done, right. You know, and I'm trying to see how that translates, I think, to relationships too, because there has been a time or two that I've gone back and forth with a partner, and I'm
also guilty of that.
And I'm wondering, like, if I have this like such a strong boundary in my friendships and sometimes even like with like family and relatives, then I should be having this through line in how I expect people to behave around me and what I expect them to bring into my life and what I want to bring into theirs. Right. Because I also don't want to be bringing around any crazy energy or any riffraff that is not helping us both grow.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of this even before you said that, but even after, I'm glad I waited because I think what you said, like, one of the things I'm starting to differentiate is like mental health and mental strength.
Right.
Because like mental health are like the things, the way I'm seeing it at least, is like mental health are the things that you're doing to like build your mental strength. Right. And so like I'm at a point where there are things that when it comes to like cutting people off, for example, I'd say to them all the time, everything for me is about evidence, okay? I'm not cutting you off. I'm just only able to give you the role for which you are qualified. Right? So, like, if a person doesn't have, like, to be my friend, there are certain things you have to do to be my friend. And so it's like, I'm not cutting you off. You just are not a candidate. Right. And to me, that's mental strength. Like, it comes a point where you have to determine, like, what gets your attention. What are you going to focus and concentrate on? Also, I want to be inspired by the people that because like time is like money. When you give your money for this bottle of water, you're essentially saying the money means less to me than the bottle of water. So it's like, if I'm going to spend time with people, then my thing is like, I'm investing my time. I'm not just spending my time.
You
so
make time.
If you are not a person who has like mental boundaries or strong mental health for yourself, then it's like, I'm not going to be able to get anything from that. So I'm not like, so when Cloudy says we try to offer her that perspective, I'm like, absolutely. The point you find out somebody is, because I've also, you know, the three of us are standing strong, but there was a few more people that I was friends with that would spend time on my couch and things that will no longer be invited to share that kind of space with me, because I've now noticed, like, you don't have couch candidate qualifications. You know, like, you are not a person who can be in my backstage. You know, like, my queendom is for queens, and you ain't been queening, so you can't come over here, you know.
Also, when you have built quality connections like the ones that we have, you can clearly see the ones that do not make that cut.
And mental strength.
Yep.
And that is okay. You know, and
Yeah.
that's okay, because they're going to find their way in whatever journey, whatever path they're supposed to take. And that's okay.
And that is okay.
And that's okay. And that's where I'm at right now. But for me, I'm just like, I really need to shut down certain relationships and have no contact because it's just like
they not qualified.
I gave and gave and gave and gave and gave and gave and continue to give, and they continue to take and 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 continue to take. And so that's the reason why I'm like, when we talked about the cut them off, I'm like, yeah, you know,
you can't pour into a cup with the crack at the bottom.
I can't half-ass, you know, this relationship. I'm not that type of person. Either I'm all the way in and then there's nothing left for me, or I'm out. I have to cut them. I have to. There can't be a relationship. There,
we'll see, like, you know, all of that right now during this
healing.
I admire so much. It's really hard for me to subscribe to that and like apply it to my life because I'm just not that person. I've never been that person. I will give chances to people because I know that we're not perfect.
Yeah,
you know. And sometimes that's why I am a recovering people pleaser. Sometimes I take responsibility and I am humble for things that should not have been my responsibility to be humble about or take responsibility for. And that's something that I've had to learn. And I think a big indicator when it's time to cut someone off is when it becomes bad for your mental health.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because there were many times where I would be really struggling about a relationship, a friendship that wasn't working. And I would look at myself and ask myself, like, why? What can I do better?
Right.
And at some point, it has to just be like, there's nothing else you can do, baby.
Right.
Like, you did what you could have done, and you're going to keep doing what you could have done, but they're going to take and take and take.
Right.
Because that's where they are at in their life right now.
Right.
And I really wish everyone healing, and I hope that someday that won't be the case, and like everyone can be friends. I know that's like a tall order, and that kind of is like shooting for the moon, but I believe that life is a journey, and I just wish everyone the best. It is no animosity.
Absolutely. I wish everybody the best too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to my next question. Cut them off.
Thank you. Cut them off.
Don't be
My
afraid
next
to
question is
cut
for Christy. I just wanted to know, after the last episode, we talked a little bit about your family and watching the episode. And I just want to know, how do you feel about it, and how did your family feel about it? And
Yeah. You know, my family had mixed feelings. I would say the person I wanted to watch it the most didn't watch it. And it reminded me, you know, they say you always need therapy for the people in your life that won't go to therapy.
right.
And so I was disappointed that the person that I really wished would have watched it. But two family members specifically reached out with very strong feelings. One basically, I mean, both to some extent told me that my story wasn't my story. And in reflection of the conversations that I had with both family members, I for sure can see their perspective. Right. I can see how, so the one question directly that a family member mentioned to me was, they asked you, was there alcohol in your home? And I said, or no, they asked about alcoholism or substance abuse. And I said, yeah. And they said, well, you said it was in your home. And I was like, oh, okay. I see here, we're semantics, right? Like, you're saying that nobody at the house that I lived in primarily was drinking, but there wasn't one place I lived, right? And so, like, what it reminded me of was like, oh, you know, you think that what you experienced of my childhood is my childhood, not what I experienced from my childhood. Right. And so, you know, it also made me realize that I could have been more specific about things. But I will also say that something I didn't get to say is, I don't think that we realize as adults the kind of influence we have on kids. Right. You know? And like, you could live with one family member, but their behavior may not be the one that influences who you become the most. Right. And so for my aunt, who made the comment about, you know, this didn't happen in your home, I was thinking, you're right. But the person who was doing that behavior was the person in the family I was the most influenced by.
Right.
And so it's really hard to... The other thing is that when I mentioned earlier about mental health and mental strength, you know, some people, and the reason I've had to make the differentiation is because, like, there's some people who started going to therapy last year, and no disrespect, but for those of us who have been doing therapy for 2 decades, it's just levels to this.
There's definitely...
It's levels.
It's never going to end.
And there are things that when I started off with therapy that I could not do or I could not face because I didn't have the mental strength to manage disappointment or frustration, or I still have a lack of patience. But there are some people who don't believe in their ability to change their outcomes with their own efforts. Right. So the way that I choose to approach things feels very foreign to them. And so I had to recognize, like, I could try to explain to you till I'm blue in the face why you saying the question about in home or what that was. But it's really like what I realize is like, it's just a lack of work that people haven't done on themselves. Right. And then when you do it, it kind of is like, oh, wait, like you did it and I didn't do it. And now like there's a level of accountability that I find that sometimes people don't want to take. Yeah. And the other thing is like, one of the things that I took away from the conversation is just to make sure that I am not mistelling anybody else's story in the way that I don't want them telling me how my story was. Exactly. So I won't say, you know, you were this, right, but I will just say, as I always do, here are the behaviors that demonstrated certain things or indicated certain things for me, and just kind of keep it at that. And so I was grateful for the show because it gave me an opportunity to have some candid conversations with family members. But I will also say that it brought out to me some ways in which we will just never be on the same page. Right. And, you know, I don't want to just like, I'm not one of those people that's like, let's agree to disagree. I actually think that's like a very like weak thing to say. But I will say that I am just more comfortable now with just everybody having to have their own story. Yes. And just realizing that like the way you tell my story is not the way I experience my story. So it's not going to be the way I'm going to tell it. Right. And your truth is not any less your truth. Right. But don't try to minimize my truth either. Yes. So yeah, definitely it's something that I'm happy I did. Yeah, it brought up a lot of emotions.
And thank you for sharing that. And that's my whole point of having Thursday Therapies, is because really it's just bringing awareness to mental health, you know, and I wanted to be able to... Some shit's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be happy because we all see life through different lenses.
Yeah. And that's how you grow.
And that's how you grow. Yeah. But so what you have seen and what I've seen, or like what you're, you know, what whoever's seen in their family member, you're still growing up in the same household, but you're both totally seeing two different things. Yes. And experiencing two different things. Yes. You know, and you're wired completely different. So it's going to be completely different. Yes. So, thank you for sharing that. I just know that was something we discussed, and I know that that's the whole point of Thursday Therapies, like I said, is just bringing awareness. And sometimes we might have to have those hard conversations with our family members, and sometimes our family members aren't ready to work on themselves, you know, and that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay. That doesn't mean that we love them any less, you know. It's just like that's their journey and that's where they're at, and this is your journey and your story, and this is where you're at. Definitely. So I really, really thank you for sharing that. It's amazing. Check yourself, check your mental health, really. Yeah. So my next question is for Chio. I kind of wanted to ask a similar question with you. How did your family handle this situation? I know that in our last episode, we talked about your family. Some of them are already engaged in therapy and are very supportive of you and going to therapy. And so how has, after the episode aired, how has that been for you?
I think the comment that I had about when Christy was talking pivots really nicely into what I have to say, which is it's very telling what people take away from an experience and what they share about it.
Yeah.
And not everyone is going to like how that story is told.
Right.
As for my family, I'm not sure how many of them watched it. I know my best friend, shout out Ari, listened to it, I believe. And I told my sisters about it. I don't know that if they had gotten around to watching it, but my ex, Miguel, and he is also the father of my son, Jude, listened to it. Yeah. He listens to like all the podcasts I'm on. He is supportive in that way. I know he had a very strong reaction because I did talk about our marriage. I talked about our relationship. He was pretty upset, and I don't blame him. Yeah. We good, like we're cool. We have a very loving and cooperative co-parenting relationship. And I do want to apologize. I don't regret the things I said, but I do want to apologize. Like I said, like maybe I might have misspoke, or because of like the parts I was telling, it might have like seemed like I was painting a very certain picture.
Right.
But we're talking about the mental health and the parts that I was really struggling with. And, you know, we're going through a divorce, and also going through a divorce while I was pregnant.
Right.
So it's like, of course, like things were going to be difficult. When we're talking about that, like a retelling of an experience, one of the times that I had tried taking us to like marriage counseling, we had met with like a bishop, a spiritual leader, to like kind of like talk about our marriage and get some advice. I didn't speak at all during that time. Miguel was talking the whole time. And I think that it was purposeful of our bishop to not ask me any questions, because I think he could tell that Miguel was pretty apprehensive about having to be vulnerable, about having to go see a therapist potentially. And Miguel had the floor. Nice. And, you know, he told his side of the story, which, you know, again, like through my perspective, not completely fair. You know, that's not the whole story. But I just remember holding his hand through that and wanting him to know that, like, even though, like, I didn't agree with, like, the recollection of, like, all of these experiences, that I heard him, and that, like, we were here in the moment now, and that I supported everything that he went through. Nice. And that, like, even if it didn't happen those ways, that's what he took away from the experience. Right. Was that maybe he didn't feel appreciated enough, or that, like, he felt like, I don't know, my aspirations were elsewhere than in our marriage and our family. And it's really important when we want to support the people that we love on their healing and mental health journey, that we are able to listen. Nice. And that is the most, like, number one way to support them, is to listen, to validate, and maybe even then have a conversation. He had a pretty strong reaction to what he heard on the podcast, and you know, he took a bit of a break from my social media, which again I don't blame him for. And
but
like,
you guys are good now.
Yeah, we were pretty good, like quickly after that, I think it's hard to hear about yourself.
It is. It's very, and that's the whole point. Like I said, Thursday Therapies is bringing awareness to mental health, and it's not to knock anybody down. It's not to put shame on anybody, but it's really for you to tell your story, your side of the story. Like, this is what you experienced during this time, and sometimes it's hurtful.
And Miguel and I never went to therapy, so like, I try to, like, in the conversations that we have, tell him, like, oh, like I am here to support you.
Right.
And really what therapy is, when I imagine anyway, going with another person, is the therapist giving you guidance and tools to be able to express yourself.
Right.
And I think that a big reason why people don't want to go to therapy is because it is extremely hard to hear about yourself.
It definitely is.
When you're not ready to.
Right.
But, he and I are good.
Good.
And with, he did, like, make a comment about, like, me, because I shared about my family as well, which I wasn't preparing to that day. But the questions really, like, prompted those childhood memories, which, like, there was, like, alcoholism and growing up. And those are because of, like, my cultural and, like, language barrier. Those are probably things I'll never be able to discuss with my parents, like, in the way that they need to be discussed. Because my dad, now that he's older, has, like, a lot of, like, health issues, because those things compounded over time and affected his aging body. Alcoholism, we're trying to get him to stop, and I know he wants to as well. But it is a mental thing. It's a mental health thing.
Right.
And so that's kind of my experience after.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
I'm glad everybody is okay. I'm glad you guys are on the same page and parenting Jude, because he needs the both of you.
Yes.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
My next question for Cloudy is, the last time we talked, you mentioned you were getting ready to release a book. Where is that? Because I want to buy it. I'm ready for Cloudy's book to be out there in the universe. Not 17-year-old Cloudy's book, but grown-ass woman Cloudy.
So I want to touch on two things. I'll do the book first, and then I'm going to go back to the family stuff. Okay. Because a lot has changed, the way I want the book to look has changed.
Okay.
And I think I told Shewrights a while ago, I was like, I have 50 poems for the book.
Yeah.
And I am very excited about that. And then I took a look and I was like, but do these tell a story that I want to tell right now? And so that is still in the works. It'll take a little bit longer.
Okay.
Because I'm particular.
Okay.
With that, I will also say, I just, in general, I'm in awe of these two women all the time. I'm in awe of all three of y'all. And I don't talk about family often, especially in public spaces. They get to hear it behind closed doors. But I will say that a reason is because an uncle of mine did publish a book about our family. And he happens to be famous, quite famous. And it got around, and it became a whole thing. And people in my family don't talk because of the book. So I will continue to not talk about my family in public and not name people. But I will say the courage that it takes to get in front of a microphone and a screen and talk about some of the most near and dear things to your heart, the things that shape who you are and that affect your life, the people who are in your life, sometimes regardless whether you like it or not, is very admirable. And I just love all of y'all and the way that you guys are so vulnerable and beautiful and willing to open up to folks.
Thank you.
I just wanted to touch on that.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Jamie. Like, honestly, like, something that I've been saying, I say to my students all the time, I tell them, thank y'all for reaching y'all potential, because it gives me job security. Thank y'all for wanting to give them y'all tuition dollars, because I need that check. But I want to say thank you to you, because, there's some things in life that you won't ever respond to if you aren't prompted. You know, just because there's so much going on that typically the things that get your attention are going to be the things that are like right in front of you, you know? Right. And so I just want to say for you, like, thank you for putting this right in front of us. Yes. Because like it prompted me. Right. I never expected, or the conversations that came from me and my family as a result of this. I don't know how those conversations would have gotten started otherwise. Right. And although the conversations weren't easy to have, but they were good to have. And it was like one of the first times I've had a disagreement with my family, one of my family members in particular, where it didn't result in us like just deciding that we're not going to talk to each other. You know, instead it was like, I don't like what you said. Right. And that's okay. Yeah. And that was kind of my response. I feel like as an adult, I can have that response. As a kid, it was kind of like if your elder say something, then it just has to be like, that's the thing, right? Yeah. But it's like, you know, not to be funny, but like I wipe my own ass. So like, you know what I mean? Like now it's not really a whole lot like that you're gonna, not that I'm disrespecting my family members because I ain't crazy or anything like that. We're not doing that. But I just want to say thank you for having this idea and then like following through on it. Right. Because I know that I'm not the only family's life that you're changing with, you know, getting them, or even how Chio said, like sometimes it's a language barrier, even when it's not a different language, it's a language barrier because some people just think, I don't know what they think or if they think.
Sometimes they might not be ready.
Sometimes they might not be ready
to think in that way, and that's why I'm just like, you know, this journey that I'm on, because this is healing for me.
It's very healing.
Sit here and talk with you guys and create this space. My whole goal is to bring more awareness so that families can break those cycles.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and you have to validate what the fuck you've been through. Like we all been through shit, and I'm sure they've been through shit.
They have.
But they're not talking about that stuff.
Right.
And they're not healing from that stuff.
Right.
You know, so the healers, we come in and we got to break those chains, break those cycles, you know, and talk about this stuff and stop sugarcoating it and covering it up, because this shit really happened. You know, the stuff we went through really happened, and what we seen through our lenses happened, and it needs to be talked about, and we're taking, you know, the steps to make a change in our lives.
Thank you for bringing that change to us. Like it's, I don't know. I just don't know where the conversation would have started. And I'm very grateful to you for that.
And it warms my heart to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it does warm my heart. That's the whole purpose. That is the whole purpose of Thursday Therapies, bringing awareness to mental health. Yeah. Having those hard
You're starting the conversation.
Yes.
Is what you're literally doing.
Absolutely.
Literally doing it.
Even before there was a podcast, she was starting conversations, at least for me. I will say that not even in direct conversation, but in the way that you carry yourself, the way that you're like, I'm not going to do that. I'll see y'all later.
Thank
or
you.
I'm not involved in that. Even sometimes we be like,
we be saying that.
We be like, Jamie not going for that.
Yeah, like, we be like on the gossip on the way here, and we was like, Jamie ain't going to want to hear it.
Yeah,
you know,
like, we love that.
But we love that. We respect that. Yeah, you know, we respect that. That's something we know about you, and like, I love that you have those healthy boundaries, and it kind of like, not gonna lie, like it kind of really wouldn't fit with check yourself, check your mental health if you were like, wait, what? Tell me, you know, like it would be a little
tea no more. I'm drinking tea, but I don't tea no more.
It would be a little inconsistent.
And I think I really do love the fact that you're like, these are my goals and I'm gonna reach them.
Yes.
Like, and
period.
I don't know how much the peoples know, but Jamie been through it and has come out the other side and been an example in an impeccable one at that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
of how to pull yourself out of that dark place, how to do the work, how to build something, how to be a mom.
Right. Like, and that's why I'm so hard on that. Cut them off. I'm sorry, but I have to be on that.
I gotta go.
Like, I have kids to raise, and nobody's gonna get in the way of that. Because when I was down, and wasn't nobody around.
Yeah.
So if you're not around now, you're not around for a reason.
Yeah, I feel that.
Especially as like a new mom, like, I don't think that I quite have had enough life experiences like that. But I do often think about, like, not just for my sake, but, like, who are the people that should have or should be cut off because I'm raising a little boy.
Right.
You know?
You'll learn.
And what standards should I keep people at because I have a little boy? Because I don't get to choose
Who he will be influenced by.
who he will be influenced by. And it's the people that I'm not paying attention to
Right.
that he will probably have the most impactful memories of.
Right.
Because maybe they're doing something that maybe I wouldn't have approved of or might look different than the life that, you know, I'm trying to build for him.
Right.
That would have left an impression. And so, like, as like a more new mother, like, I definitely admire that mentality of, like, you know, our babies do come first. Like, we love our art and stuff, but it's like our children do come first.
100%. 100%.
It reminds me that one day when me and you both had a feature. It was my niece's first birthday party. I was like, y'all might not make it to this feature.
Yeah,
I might not make it. I was like, the baby got to have her birthday party.
So let's switch gears a little bit. What are you guys working on? I know you guys been taking a break from poetry, open mics, but I know y'all got something in the works. I know y'all working on something. And I know you still got Sac Poets Society. You're doing your workshops, so that's getting ready to come back. You took a break from that.
Yeah, and I think that with the summer too, you know, the pacing has been different just because I think people, you know, are craving their life experiences out in the world.
Right.
And I'm not taking that personally at all. Like, girl, me too, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, and Sac Poets, like, even though we did, like, come up on a year, it's been such a blessed year and all that growth. But I am eager to watch how it changes because, like, even though I'm kind of, like, at the wheel of it, and I'm trying to plant seeds for, like, things for the future, like, Sac Poets is its own entity, and it is the people who come, the poets who come and shape that experience. And, you know, I'm just the person who is trying to guide it a little bit. But we have, like, a few things in the work for Sac Poets, and specifically, I did want to do another field trip to the Crocker because that was fun last year. And I was talking to Pat at the Poetry Center about having a zine rack at the center, so that the poets would have more accessibility to have their work published and sold. And yeah, a lot of fun things planned, and I am eager to see how Sac Poets will grow. But as for myself personally, I've had a lot of great opportunities come my way. I've been a part of a few book releases for poets on tours, poets out of town, out of state. I had a poet that I opened for from the East Coast, from Philly. So, and then I got asked to host at the Crocker Art Museum. I don't want to say, like, oh, I don't know how that happened, but
You're putting in the work.
Right, thank you.
That's how it
Thank you so much. I'm definitely.
I see it, and the community sees it too.
Thank you so much. I don't think I ever set out to. Of course, like, everybody wants to be good and great,
Right.
but I didn't realize, like, the things that I had set in motion last year. And so I'm very grateful, and I'm hoping that I can kind of continue that. I think there are definitely levels of artistry. So, well, someday I would love to write a book, but I think there are things, like, in between there that I can achieve and, like, learn along the way. And that's kind of also what Sac Poets was born out of, was that desire to really learn poetry as a craft. And I'm really excited what this next year looks like with that.
Nice. And Cloudy, you are a board member of Sacramento Poetry Center. That's amazing.
The youngest,
that is amazing.
right?
Mm-hmm. The youngest.
The youngest.
board member.
Sacramento.
Yep. So how's that? I know you got some things going on over there.
That has been fun because I was already volunteering and doing
right.
stuff with the board. So it's,
Home away from home.
it was really fun to get the official title. And it was a complete surprise to me. It was like in the middle of the board meeting, Pat was like, and so.
Love Pat. We love you, Pat.
And then shortly after, we were discussing the Thule Review and other publications that the Sac Poetry Center has. And we were talking about, I was like, I would love to see like a performance-based like Thule Review come out. And Pat was like, me too. And we were trying to like just like going back for a little bit. And he was like, well, do you want to be the editor?
Nice.
And I was like, oh, people want me to be an editor or something.
Because you're amazing. I
Thank
want you
you.
to edit my work.
Absolutely.
And you know I will.
Can you edit my book?
Yes. Please send me books. I love to read. I do Sac Poets Book Club.
Off the page.
And I am a big reader. I think that was one of the first conversations me and Shewrights had. Actually, she was like, every time you do a poem, you always reference something you read or a quote. And like, I just want to know where you're getting all these books from.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like, I'm super excited that like Sac Poets has branched off into like other like things that we do. But and like as somebody who like always has her hands in everything, I just like off the bat knew that I wanted Cloudy to like be involved or like facilitate this poetry book club, because I feel like you are so knowledgeable.
It's so true to who she
I want
is.
Cloudy to be involved.
Yeah, for sure.
You love reading.
Yes.
And reading poetry, like you need somebody who loves to read poetry, who can appreciate the art and the formatting. And it's been really amazing to be able to do that book club with you. So thank you for bringing that to Sac Poets.
Thank you. I'm trying to remember who, I don't know where it was, but I remember at some point somebody was like, what made you want to do poetry? And I was like, I've actually never wanted to do anything else. I've never wanted to do anything but be a poet and be a writer since I found out that I could be a poet and be a writer.
We talked about that in the last episode.
Yeah.
And that's all you've been doing ever since.
And it's all, I mean, that's what I went to school for. That's what I've done in my free time. It's my friends. It's the things that I read and the podcasts I listen to. I am very much intertwined with art and especially poetry. And to be able to do the things that I care about with people that I adore and look up to has been a great gift in the midst of all of the craziness that happens in my personal life, work and home and relationships. I have been lucky enough to have had something that I love at the core of it all and people that I love.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so I am grateful, and the things that I'm working on is, of course, I'm trying to get that book out. I really, really want to get the book out.
I really want you to get that book out.
And then I will say that me and my wonderful friends are working on other things as well, and that's exciting. We need to get back on that.
I know there's something in the week, and I keep hearing about this, and I'm like, okay, when is it my time to step in? But I'm like, okay.
And then
We'll let you know.
and then
once we get it together.
I will say that this summer is going to be when I'm receiving submissions for the Thule Review, and it is a performance-based and digital issue. So I'm going to be watching a lot of footage and going through of course, like the written format that people give me as well.
So how can people do that? Can you shout it out? How will they be able to put their stuff out there?
So we are accepting up to 3 poems or receiving up to 3 poems. And then the time limit, I will say, I need to discuss with Pat, but if I'm being crazy, I would say that max 10 minutes for the submissions in general. Okay. And if you're going to submit 1 or 2, 5 minutes would be the max. Okay. Because I don't want to be watching videos to December, y'all. I love y'all, but I gotta cut it off at some point. And so how it would work is you, of course, give the written sample, especially if you want it formatted a certain way on the website. Okay. And then I would need a performance video to go with it. Nice. It is up to you if you want to do it in front of an audience or not. But if you can get a performance video in front of a live audience that doesn't overwhelm your poetry, that would be amazing. Because the point is to see and experience it as you would in community and spaces. And so I'm really excited to curate that and to get to see people's submissions. It actually makes me so excited every time I think about it. It's very
They've
different.
never done
That's
that.
super
before.
exciting.
And of course, with the new board member.
Right.
My friends are the
She
shit.
making changes up in there.
And so I am quite excited. And so you emailed Thule 25 editor 25. We did mess up the newsletter, y'all. It's Thule25 editor at gmail.com.
Nice.
And those will come to me and I'll review them.
And when is that
you'll hear
open?
back. It's open.
Oh, it's open right now.
Yes, it's open.
And when does it close?
It closes July.
July.
End of July.
You submit.
End of July.
Okay. End of July. Good to know. Good to
So,
know.
Where was
yes.
that posted?
It's in the newsletter. It's in
But
the
not on
newsletter.
Instagram.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
you know how
Thank
Put her on
you
spot.
so much.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing work. That's amazing
My
work.
friends are literally the coolest.
Right, that's what I'm
My
talking
friends are the
about. All
coolest.
this creativity is fucking amazing. It's inspiring to me. That's why I'm like, to continue to keep my craft going is because of you guys. Everybody out here supporting me and showing up
Yeah.
and just being there. You know, it's fucking amazing. And everybody, you know, working on their own craft also. It's just it's inspiring.
Yeah.
So. Back to you, Christy.
What do I
What's
got
going on? You were on a roll. You were on, I remember going to so many features. What's going on? You didn't stop for a minute.
I'm sorry. How many feature was it?
I've
and how
stopped
many
features. I had my first feature in October, and by the last one I had was for First Church of Poetry.
Yep.
I got to share it with Cloudy, which was really amazing. Thank you for sharing that with me, Cloudy, because mine got rained out, and so Cloudy shared. But that was my 8th one. My 8th feature since October. So I would say there's nothing in the works for me. Like, yeah, we got some hot girl shit going on. We don't have enough to talk about. We'll get back to that. You have to bring us back. But because it is for our mental health, honestly, what we're working on. But for me, I would say how Chio earlier said that sometimes you're in like a living phase and sometimes you're in a writing phase. For sure, I've been taking advantage of having Cloudy like literally write with me, but making time to read more poetry.
Nice.
I never read poetry. People are always surprised when they hear that because they're like, she writes, don't read poetry. And I'm like, I don't read poetry. I don't know why I don't. But I've been working on reading more poetry. Nice. And just kind of like, you know, we started off talking about my health.
Right.
You know, right now, like things are pretty good. So I've also just been enjoying myself, like enjoying that I'm not like, yes, I am having a current treatment, but it's every 3 weeks. So it's not like impacting my life in a major way. I feel like I'm just in like a living phase.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
And I love that for you because you were going and I'm like, how is she doing this? And you were still
not
doing
well.
it, managing, and I'm like,
What was that?
wow.
8 features in 7 months?
8 features, whatever from October to what month was April.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So no,
In
that's a
6
blessing.
months is
So I mean,
amazing.
like you said, the time will come and you start working on things and bring it back
Yeah,
to life. That's
so-
amazing. But I just love having you guys out here. It's
Thank
creative.
you,
Everybody
Jamie.
sharing their stories and growing and bonding and loving on each other. Where can people find you at?
You can find me on IG at Shewrights. I feel like I always have to spell it. WRITE. She WRIGHTS. Right. She wants rights. So
Right.
I love that. So my personal page is at Choetry. It's CHIOETRY. And if you want to follow Sac Poets, it would be at Sac Poets. To follow us on our workshops and events and to get connected with the community.
Nice.
Yes. And then I am signed.cloudy. And, you know, you should also follow the Sacramento Poetry Center.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh,
That's
Sac
a
Poetry Center.
beautiful place.
I definitely want to
It's a
shout
beautiful
out Sacramento Poetry Center because
Absolutely.
before them, Sac Poets didn't have a home.
place. Right.
And they're extremely generous and supportive of us. They basically sponsor us to have a place. And so the Poetry Center has definitely been a home to me to Cloudy, Sac Poets. And yeah, thank you so much for all that you guys do for us and the community. Yes. Definitely was my first place I went to.
Shout out Sac Poetry Center.
Poetry.
Amazing. Yeah. Yes, I love it. So thank you guys for coming on the show. It's been amazing. I'm so glad we got to follow up with each other and just share more and bring awareness and talk about mental health and continue on our healing journey. I appreciate you 100%. Love you all and can't wait till the next time. Mm-hmm. So don't forget to tell people, check yourself, check your mental health.
Check yourself, check your mental health.
Yourself.
Yes, definitely. Like, subscribe, comment, and check yourself, check your mental health.